Okay, what's up, folks? See if I can get a light on. I don't know, it's like about 5:20 something, 5:30. And today is day 90, so I'm doing like an update video. I kind of talked about, I think, yesterday, since I've gone through 3 months of Nofap. And I just wanted to do a sort of a 3 month review. I was going to talk about future plans in addition, but I think I'll just save that for tomorrow. Tomorrow being, day 91. And yeah, I'm sitting in my car, so, occasionally folks walk by. But anyways, so 3 months down, you have Nofap. So that was starting back on the 16th of October last year. It was day 74 on New Year's Eve, and then 16 more days, 16th of January 2021 now. And I know folks, their usual concern when they're talking about Nofap or anything like of this nature, they ask about benefits. Generally speaking, most of the stuff is like, mental or psychological for me. Mental clarity, focus, better mood regulation, just more even keel, like, emotional state, if you will. Let's see, better social skills, definitely. Interesting thing is, like, the job I'm at right now, like, I started it off when I was about 30 days into Nofap, so I'd already gotten a month down, and I've just kind of kept that sort of routine going. And so it's almost like a matter of establishing a sort of rapport with people that I didn't necessarily have at like my old job. And I was able to get through a year and 3 months and not get terminated or anything of that nature, but definitely had days where I was like concerned, mostly because when you're not, I mean, look, if PMO is your thing, that it's like your sort of compulsion or your addiction or whatever, it doesn't even have to be that, it could be something else, but whatever it is, when you're engaging in it and you're relapsing, you're going back to that sort of state of mind, and your sort of neurochemistry. It definitely, I don't know if it creates social anxiety in and of itself, but it amplifies it, at least in my experience. And that would lead me to like spazzing out with people, acting admittedly annoying or just weird or awkward. And then of course getting even more anxious when I think, oh, how's this going to affect my work life or my life in general. Did that thing I said or did, is that going to get me terminated or fired? Being ultra concerned and like just stressed out about that sort of stuff. And as a result, comparing where I'm at now to where I was when I started this 3 months, definitely say, like I said, mental clarity, focus is up, better mood regulation, better social skills, better sleep. I find, generally speaking, that I get to sleep a lot better. That also could be because I've made it a point to, lay off the caffeine, not really have any coffee a few hours before I go to bed. But even when I didn't, control like caffeine intake, or how should I put it? Even when I did, that's how I should put it. Even when I did control caffeine intake, and I wouldn't, have coffee, let's say 2-3 hours before I was going to try to go to sleep. When I wasn't, this far into having done Nofap, obviously like anxiety, thought patterns or thought loops, be such that I just couldn't get to sleep, and I'd end up staying up really late, just mindlessly surfing, on the internet, and essentially like wasting my time. At the end, to the point of it being like 1 or 2 or 3 a.m. And then I'd finally like fall asleep, and it was never like good sleep. Like there's times when you can be sleeping for 8, 10, 12 hours, and you're just not getting the that quality sleep you need, where it's like deep sleep. I think it's called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And waking up feeling refreshed. So definitely, better sleep. I've had vivid dreams. That kind of stuff has started. It kind of comes and goes, but um, as it goes on, it's like it's less. Obviously, it's like less, sexual in nature. Those dreams, even the ones like I've had, nocturnal emissions. It's like it's kind of the point where it's kind of like, okay, my body needs to, regulate itself, so that stuff happens. But it's not like it's associated with an actual like conscious dream that I can say, okay, this is of that sort of nature. Um, it's almost like I'm, through these dreams, unearthing deeper issues, or trauma. It's not necessarily all trauma, but just like deeper issues, deeper memories, stuff that I haven't really faced or dealt with, resolved, stuff of that nature, which, used to would bury underneath a sort of a layer or several layers of like what I would call like PMO memories. Um, essentially content or the memory of engaging and consuming the content and associating it with some sort of fantasy about some girl I know or liked or desired or even just something that was sort of like a fetish of sorts, especially like, stuff that I would associate with engaging in heavy compulsive uh, consumption of, uh, you know, how should I put it? Like, I mean, I don't want to throw the P word out there, but basically that kind of content and then the associated behavior. We say like PMO, it's like a cycle. It's like this habit loop. Um, so, my dreams, the content has changed. I will say physically, and this is something that I've actually been like, sort of like, have been concerned about, interested in, because, most of the time you hear folks talk about, Nofap, or they're talking about the benefits of it. They focus really on the psychological, but I've also been concerned about sort of like the physical aspect, because, I mean, when you engage in that habit loop, you're obviously like engaging muscle groups, certain particular muscle groups, and when you're dealing with hyperstimulation, of your brain and the muscles, that nerves and such that are controlled by the brain. I mean, it's almost like flexing and then flexing and relaxing your muscles repeatedly. And I mean, that's probably why, you get like soreness in your muscles, after you engaged in that habit loop. And, for me, I would get like, I would get, back pain, chest pain, etc. That has seemed to, what's the word, like ebb away. It's like decrease. It's kind of on a crescendo, going down. So that's kind of been, that's essentially been disappearing. I get less and less of those pains, including like, in or around my heart, chest, etc. And so I'm definitely, I mean, I'm liking that effect. That it's like, okay, that stuff's going away. Maybe then my body's starting to heal itself because, I'm not putting it under tension, so to speak. And, coming up on 9 minutes, this is going to be kind of a long video. I'm talking about 3 months worth of, Nofap. So, not sure how long folks are going to stick around, but, so having talked about the benefits in detail, what have I accomplished in these 3 months from, let's say, October the 16th to today, which is January the 16th. So I'm breaking this down into three main areas. So financials, education, and fitness or health. So as far as financials are concerned, first off, I got myself a new, better paying job, which, as I stated, I started almost exactly like to the day, a month after I started this, streak of Nofap, which I don't like necessarily using the term streak because it sort of implies that, okay, it's going to end at some point, and I don't want to approach it with that mentality. But essentially, after I started on, Nofap, about a month afterwards, I started this new, better paying job. How much? It was like $7 or $8 more per hour. technically speaking, it's less hours per day, but it does work out to 40 hours because it's the standard sort of like, I mean, in my case, it's like 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Sometimes there is overtime with like an hour or two extra. Sometimes we have weekend overtime. But it's also, you're better paying insofar as like the commute is like half of what my old commute used to be. So I'm, saving money on fuel. And they do cater lunch at work, which is really great. The company culture is way more like by the book and, strict and, well, I wouldn't say, actually, I shouldn't say strict. It's not so much that they're strict, but they're just, like I said, by the book. Um, and, there's a lot of emphasis on good documentation practices, good manufacturing practices, things of that nature. And it's like a little more like, it's not like high energy. It's more like, I wouldn't even say it's low energy. It's just kind of like in the middle where like folks are just, they're focused on doing their work, getting their job done. Less discussion on politics, social issues, things of that nature. Just, you get the standard like training when you start it where it's like, okay, it's like, don't do these obviously socially inept behaviors. Don't speak in these socially inept manners, so that you don't make your coworkers feel uncomfortable or don't end up with some sort of HR worthy occurrence. It's like, okay, if you're in your, if you're old enough, you're mature enough, you just go, okay, I get it. I don't do that already, and I'll keep not doing that because I don't want any of this problem. So I'm just going to do that, not make that, a cause for me to like, lose my job or, have legal action against me. You get that kind of standard stuff, but beyond that, it's just like the company culture is you just focus on your work, you get it done, you work together. They have like perks and all that sort of stuff with like I said, free lunch, standard benefits like your retirement plan, retirement fund, stock options eventually if you're there long enough, stock purchasing plan. And if we work on the weekends or so, like they do, order us lunch on the company dollar or dole or whatever you want to call it. So there's that kind of stuff, and it's not a bad place, work. It's been it's been definitely different from the other place, but it has its perks, has its pros. Occasionally you deal with like coworkers who are a bit more sticklers for certain things, and you just kind of start to sort of mold yourself into that role so you perform well, perform better, be constantly improving, and you last for the long term essentially, if you don't have any really major conflicts with coworkers. But next up at financials, I paid off 2 more loans. I'm nearing paying off a 3rd loan, which is its first federal student loan. Most of the student loans. I've been making payments on my car loan and, zeroing out my credit cards, that sort of thing. So I'm definitely moving in the better direction. I could talk about some more financial stuff, but I'm kind of sort of wondering if that stuff is a little too private, I guess you could say. Like, has to do with like investing and such, and maybe I'll do that as part of my sort of journey out of debt series. But anyways, next up, education. I completed the class that I was taking online. I got an A- in it, so I basically crossed that off of the list of courses I had to take. Like I said, in the past, my plan is to take 1 or 2 at a time until I get to a point where I'm financially set, so I can just go back to school full time and just knock out that master's degree, get all the prereqs out of the way, get into the program, fully matriculated, complete the master's program, and then I can go on to whatever it is down the line, whether it's process development engineer, automation engineer, further schooling, doctorate, whatever. So that's education. Fitness, I started running again. I'm at 3 to 4 times per week. It's just 1.5 miles once around the perimeter of my old university. I know it's not a lot, but again, I'm going more for consistency right now. Combining that with getting back on this slow carb diet, which I'm kind of sort of struggling with. But I've lost at least a few pounds. I'm not having as dramatic of a change as like I did before, but I'm going to have to look into that, figure out what the factors are on that, and then kind of like try and stick with it. I may have to just um, stick with it as much as I can, but then combine that with sort of increasing my level of physical activity. Maybe go more times per week with running, throwing calisthenics. Maybe just increase the distance eventually as I build up my stamina once again. Another thing I've done is I've established a sleep schedule with regards to work. So, being disciplined about that, telling myself, there's nothing that I really need to be doing past, let's say, 9:30 p.m. at night. Trying to make sure I'm just, in bed at 8:30, and then I could be like, out like that. Because I know that, going to work with 7 to 8 hours of sleep, like I'm way more effective, way more awake, way more, sharp and just, I'm able to get my work done. And essentially, like I'm in a much better mood. And so if I have to deal with, some coworker who's, kind of on my case about something, or on people's cases about anything, or whatever, if I'm in some sort of somewhat tense situation, I am less likely to react, and I can, instead of reacting, respond rationally, and in such a manner that problem gets resolved, we got our work done, we move on, and there's nothing there to come back and get me later on, etc. I'm not sure what I want to have under etc. But yeah, in the future I may talk about more health issues that I may or may not be having, because right now I'm just sort of, I've had this sort of idea of like, okay, I'm going to focus on what I have actual control or effect over, and take care of that sort of stuff. And then, once those things are settled, then I'll move on to the bigger stuff. And so that I can't, or I'm not really confronting that whatever that might be. I'm just kind of leaving that off in the future and just focusing on taking care of my health, taking care of my fitness, taking care of my money, and education. So, anyways, it's been a long video, about 18 minutes. The light just went off. Might have to let that cool down before I make another video. But anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Again, this is my 3-month update on Nofap, and yeah, that's not going to come back on for a while. So I'm going to stop recording now and then upload this. Thank you, and I'll see you folks around. Bye-bye.